What is up, guys? Welcome to another episode of Tradesmen Talk. How's it going, Wilson?
Dude, good day to be alive. Got to carry a bunch of heavy stuff today, so I got a free workout. Good problems.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How about
Well,
you?
today, guys, we have a special episode. As you've heard in the past, we really want to try to bring other people on to the podcast to show you or help share with you the opportunities that exist in other trades and even the ones that we actively work in, which is cabinet refinishing. And today we have Felix.
Hello, guys.
And Felix works in cabinet refinishing. He runs a cabinet refinishing team in Orlando. Actually started off with me, so we'll go into that, how he started off in the trades and found himself working with my company, Elite Cabinet Coatings. And now as we've evolved into a partnership model, me and Felix have partnered up, and he's managing and leading the team in Orlando. And he has ambitions to grow beyond that as well. And so we'll dive into that story. And hopefully that'll be of some value to you guys. How's that sound?
I can't imagine anybody hears the story and doesn't find value in it, because I think for most people, when they look at the trade, especially from the outside, they don't necessarily see that there is a path. Their perspective on the trades is whatever the guy that's in their house doing that thing at that time is, and there's obviously more to it. And so, Felix, why don't you start us off, man? Tell us a little about your background. How'd you get into trades? How'd you meet Steven?
So originally, I came here to Florida about 2017 and looking for jobs. I've landed regular load jobs, did powder coating. Then eventually I had a baby coming on the way, and I realized, man, I got to get my stuff together. I need to get a good path where I can grow, learn some kind of skill or something. So I was doing searches, I was looking into HVAC and stuff. And along my searches, I found Elite Cabinet Coatings, and I read it, the description. I was like, I applied, the chance to come here, meet Steven. Freaking interview was awesome. Talked about so much, room to grow. So that was like what I was looking for. I was like, man, this is like freaking awesome. So then luckily, I got the call back and, got in here, man. I loved it, it's like, it was totally different here,
Started with the training program.
Yeah, starting with the training program, I was in there for about a month, it's like a mock kitchen, and, I learned everything there, was prepared to go as soon as I, my first job, aced it, and been in love since. It's been great.
Dude, that's really interesting. So from literally day one, like your first interview, you were already talking about the fact there could be a bigger path in the future.
Yeah, Steven hit me with the pass. He said, I can teach this to anybody. Just gotta have the character, and wasn't lying.
And it was a good fit. I definitely remember in the interview recognizing the ambition that Felix had and the drive that he had. And you somewhat alluded to this earlier. A lot of contractors get into the trades maybe out of short-term need.
Yep.
And maybe they're getting a little bit behind on their bills, or they got laid off, or they quit their last job and they're just looking for something to fill that void and kind of be able to pay their bills. But when a contractor enters the industry with ambition and with long-term goals, it becomes really valuable for the employer, because most employers in the trades, they want to build a long-term team, because that allows the business to evolve and create a mutual beneficial arrangement for everyone. And if the technician or the employee that comes in wants to stay long-term, it's good for that employee because he has room to grow and take on more responsibility and get paid more. And it's good for the employer because now the employer can focus on filling other roles within the business and not have to constantly find new people for the same role.
Right.
So it definitely stood out that he had ambition.
So Felix, did you think that you would one day run the whole shop?
Initially, no. I knew that I'd get up there because I'm going to work my way up there. I knew that. I tell the guys I'll be better than them. And I didn't know nothing, but I was going to get there.
Yeah.
But I mean, Steven did talk about that from the very beginning, having our own thing. So I did believe that. I didn't know it'd be this one. This is like dream come true.
Right.
Yeah, I guess it did make it a little bit easier for you.
Yeah.
Just simplify
But
it.
that's one thing I really encourage other tradespeople as they're building their teams is to share their vision for the business, but also share a potential vision for the people on the team. Really determine what that individual on your team wants and point to the business as a vehicle that will help them get there. And it just so happened that his ambitions align so much with the business that he ends up being a part of the business in a whole new way now, which is even better. But even if that individual has ambitions in a different industry or different types of goals, you still want to see how that current business or that current job can align with getting them closer to their goals. That way they approach their job with a little bit more purpose and a little bit more long-term thinking, which just helps, again, everyone involved.
That's so true. Yeah, there's never really a good reason not to create a win-win situation.
Yeah, for sure. And when you can do that with the people that are currently on your team, it's even better. And so maybe you can kind of go into that a little bit, what the journey was like, because now we've been working together for years.
Right.
And you talked a little bit about when you started, it was during a training program where we had several people that we started at one time. We're in the classroom of the training center where we had them going through the mock kitchens that we have set up, and you guys were doing the kitchens over and over until you understood the process. So as you evolved into becoming a helper and then a lead tech, maybe you can go into that a little bit, how your journey was as a lead tech and maybe some challenges you went through and how you kept the faith knowing that there was going to be a next level.
Right. So going through it, man, I mean, there were plenty of stressful times, leading up to where I'm at now. But some of the challenges, man, a lot of frustrating things, in the painting, things going wrong, how to deal with it, keep your cool, or, finding a solution to things, not to stop,
Right.
just cancel something and keep trying. There's been plenty of times where I'm there and I'm like, I can't get this right. And I just keep trying, or I'll come back to it. I'll go do something else. But I'm thinking about a solution, and then I just keep going and it'll happen, but you just got to keep pushing,
Yeah.
I leave a call to Steven, last resort, if I can't figure it out, like completely gassed out. But I mean, plenty of those, you just got to learn how to, control it. And it feels so good after you're done and you get it done,
For sure.
I mean, that's
I remember
the best
those jobs where you run into hurdles and you overcome them, and
or
then
sometimes you're scared of driving to the job. You're thinking about what can go wrong and stuff.
Right.
But man, that feeling you get when it's all done,
you get that acceptance sheet signed.
yeah, it's the best feeling. I mean, it changes your whole day.
For sure.
You coming home, man, it's awesome. Yeah. But I mean, yeah, there was a lot of, frustrating moments. That's probably it, just things, learning along the way. You're always learning still.
So that's a distinction that helped you become successful, was knowing that there was a solution that existed and knowing that with enough persistence, you'll arrive at that solution. Not everyone has that mentality. Maybe you can talk a little bit about how you've seen people come through elite cabinet coatings that didn't necessarily have that mentality and how their journey became a little bit different.
Right. Because a lot of people, that come in, they talk the talk, but don't walk it, they give up too soon. I've seen plenty of that, or people that cut corners and stuff like that. Plenty of people, just blaming other things, making excuses, we've seen a lot of cancerous people, and it's hard to find good guys. I mean, yeah, plenty of guys.
That's kind of one thing that I've had to learn the hard way sometimes, because there's things that to be true, but in practice, it typically is a different experience than what goes on in your head, because as the saying goes, hire slow, fire fast. Well, when you have people on your team and you have all of these jobs going on and there's only so many people, you're kind of leaning too much on, you can find yourself leaning too much on hope that the person's going to change, or that the patterns will start to change and he can recognize some of his areas of improvement and get better.
It's definitely, because there's plenty of times where it's like, you'll get a call and I'm like, dude, well, did you try this? Some people you can't tell, if they went to the extreme to try everything,
Right.
It's like, dude, you're going to call me when you tried everything, you know?
Yeah, and you,
That can be frustrating too sometimes, you know, to drain your energy.
yeah.
Because sometimes they know, but they don't go the extra mile, you know? You gotta pull
Why
it
do you
out.
think that is?
Man, that's tough, you know? It's gotta be the willpower or, you know, not enough passion or caring. I don't, you know,
Maybe.
I took everything so serious, you know, every job I did. I don't know, it's just if it's in different people,
Yeah.
you know.
Well, it is interesting that you bring that up, because one of the biggest things that comes with the hire fast and sorry, hire slow and fire fast. And I had a conversation with a contractor about this exact topic recently. He was like, well, how do you train people? Like, I don't want to hire anybody that's got less than 5 years experience. And I was like, I don't know what it is that you do, but unless it involves bombs, I can't imagine that you need 5 years experience to learn how to do it well enough in a residential use case. So what you're saying is
Only that can almost ingrain some negative habits for someone that's been working for 5 years. There's some things that may not be that good that is now part of their
True.
habits.
Yeah.
well, I would say almost 100% likely. And you know, the crazy thing is, like, dude, you can teach contracting, same as accounting, like any skill that you have, you can learn it. Everything that we do as humans, other than basically eat and poop, is a learned behavior. So like when people are like, oh, I don't think we can teach them that, it's like, no, you definitely can. But principles are really hard to teach, right? Most people adopt the vast majority of the principles they're going to have throughout their life before they're 10 years old. And so it's really hard to convince somebody that's been lazy their whole life that all of a sudden they should start being a hard worker now that they're hanging out with me. Or if they've been dishonest their whole life, like, now it's going to be different. I'm not saying that you can't change. I know I can't force it on them, you know?
Right.
And
that's the thing. We saw the best success with people who didn't have experience, because they often would come to the table hungry to learn.
Right.
It's easy to agree that there's a lot for them to learn when they have no experience. When you're dealing with someone who has a lot of experience, there tends to be some clash or disconnect with areas of improvement. And so when it comes to giving feedback or providing advice, it may not be well received if the person has a different viewpoint on where they're at and where they can go within the position that you hire them for. When they start from the bottom, it's very simple. And it's very easy to agree that you have to learn everything. And by teaching them those habits or the process from the very beginning, they're not fighting old habits, or they're not second guessing themselves from things that they may have learned somewhere else.
That's true. Yeah, because I was geeked when I first started. I mean, I go home, watch videos about this, eager to learn, you know?
Yeah.
I was coming for my spot.
Well, you know, that level of commitment, and not just with the skill, because I imagine, you know, as you moved up, so, you know, you started in the training center, literally just working,
Yeah.
you know, on the couch.
I didn't know nothing about painting, spraying, anything.
Okay. And then I imagine when you became like an actual helper on site, there were probably new things you had to pick up that you didn't learn in the training center.
Oh, definitely. Like, you know, wrapping microwaves, you know, things that we didn't have there, appliances and whatnot, and different angles of things, you know, different shapes. And you know, you learn on the fly.
When you became lead tech, did you learn entirely new skills as well?
Yeah, even more. Yeah. Because now you're working on yourself. So now by yourself, so you can kind of experiment. You know, I would try to learn new things. Hey, you know, it's not only one way to do one thing.
Yeah.
So what works for somebody may not work for you, you know? So I'd try every time if I had time available, you know, let's see what happens here, you know?
And that mentality to always try to learn or always try to improve, that's going to serve you for years to come, because as now you're leading a team, there's going to be different ways of managing, different ways of communicating that may not be as natural for you versus someone else. And typically you want to be as genuine as you can when you're talking to people. And so it's going to require a slight uniqueness to how you talk to these people, how you lead them. And that will ultimately shape the way that the business continues to grow. But if you have that good intention and you have the mentality of always improving, it's very likely that the business will evolve in a better way.
Right.
You know,
agreed. Well, and so a soft skill, like it's an agnostic skill. If you're really good at learning how to learn new things, right? If your skill is learning new things, you can go succeed at a lot of stuff, because a lot of contractors have the trouble making the transition. Because Felix, now you deal with customers, right?
Right.
Now dealing with
I mean, that changed drastically.
Yeah.
I was a shy guy. I mean, now I walk in there, my chest up, my head high. You know, I love it actually. I never knew it was in me.
right. But you probably
You know?
took that same level of commitment to learning there. And
Right.
I mean, that's like the principle that's so hard to find.
Mhm. Yeah, agreed.
What, in your experience, because the switch you've made is pretty impressive, and it's not a small operation, right? You guys have what, three or four crews going at all times?
Yep, 3.
Three. Okay. What's been the biggest thing you'd say you've learned or experienced since you've gone from being the like lead tech to actually managing a 7-figure business?
Man, I would say like keeping things organized and on schedule is probably the most, everything else I'd say I pretty got, but that's like the most one you got to like stay on top of and make sure of, because it can easily escalate.
Yeah.
It could go a bad way, and it's serious.
There's so many things you can't control,
Right.
and also so many things that can influence the timeline of every single project.
Mhm.
And so you're dealing with a lot of unknowns and some vulnerabilities. And so doing what you can while you can
Right.
can be a huge difference between finishing on time or finishing really late, because something could pop up on this project. A customer may require you to go on their job site on a day that you plan on doing something else.
Exactly, man.
And so things can, like you say, can kind of escalate. And so being proactive and almost trying to assume what can happen and preparing for the what ifs before they actually happen.
Right. Yep. I remember you always saying that. Do what you can, but when you got to.
Yeah.
Yeah. In my experience, when something goes wrong at another customer's house, the customer in front of me doesn't usually seem to care so much. That's just been my experience.
Right. Definitely. Like me.
Yeah.
I'm curious though, as you worked with us for a couple years, at one point did you decide that you wanted to lead your own team, or was it like that from the very beginning?
So that was never in my head until you actually brought it up, and you was like, there's a potential, the next year, and then that got really me thinking, and it like opened up more like in my head, like, man, we could really take, because I seen how you made it your story, so I'm like, man, I can do the same thing. He's giving me the opportunity, and then that really like gave me the battery in my back even more. Like,
Yeah,
it's a big opportunity.
Yeah. And you seem as so far to have really been seizing the opportunity.
Oh yeah, I love it. I can't let this go.
Well,
yeah, I love it.
Dude, bragging on it for a little bit. Steven called me up last week and was like, dude, you're not gonna believe this. We just broke our record for the largest job we've ever got. And that was you. That was you guys, right?
Yeah.
That close to what, a $54,000 job?
Yep, exactly. Yeah, man. It's crazy.
Dude.
I mean, man.
How exciting.
I never knew this was possible with painted cabinets.
Right.
Yep.
We tell people our average job is 4,000 to 5,000, but you get these projects that are 10, 12, 15.
Yeah. I mean, at a point they were like 10, 10, 10, back to back to back.
Now
it's rarely under 4. I mean, under 45.
Now you can say you can get $50,000.
Right. You can. It's very possible.
It's crazy too. If you have a $50,000 job, it tends to bring the average up. Like when we run the numbers, our averages in Austin are closer to like 5,300, 5,400. And it's because last week, actually this week, just kidding, this week, he closed a $10,000 job, and then 2 days later, an $11,000 job. I'm like, boom.
Yeah.
If we do 2 $5,000 jobs or even $4,000 jobs the rest of the month, like our average is real good.
Yeah.
We plan on completing that in a week still. Hopefully.
Well, the $50,000 one will probably take more than
3 weeks.
I expect that to be more. But even then, if you did,
it's huge.
Dude, getting that done in a single month means that just that one job was more revenue than 95% of contractors will ever make in a single month. Just that one job.
And in that month, we'll probably have like 4 jobs with that one job still.
Yeah.
You'll have probably a couple jobs a week.
Right, within that month.
Yeah, so it'll be a good month for sure.
Oh, yes. Definitely.
Yeah, a good $80,000 a month here and there doesn't hurt anybody.
And then you'll still be selling during that time.
Exactly.
Because you have a sales rep now, Carla. You're
right.
Yeah. And so she's going to be collecting deposits throughout the entire month, which brings in more cash flow as well.
Exactly.
So you'll be at over 80,000 cash flow.
That's amazing.
So
what's been your biggest surprise, man? So now that you've, made the transition, you run your own shop, what's been the biggest surprise to you?
Yeah, that's tough. Biggest surprise. Man, that's tough.
I'm sure you've been surprised by something.
By customers?
Was it the customers? Because that was the thing that I was most excited about when partnering up is the customers, because you have to have someone that is there, nurturing these customers as they have questions and concerns. And, with me, I have a few other projects that I'm working on, not only Elite Cabinet Coatings, but Cabinet Startup and these other things in the background. And so to deal with customer issues while trying to do everything else became very, I would say, frustrating. And so that was one of the biggest value propositions that I was excited for, was to be able to delegate and partner with Felix, and he starts managing the customers.
Right.
Yeah, that's fun.
It's a valuable skill. Like, you can get paid very, very well to deal with customers if you're really good at dealing with customers.
Right. I'm really good with the customers, it's not just so happy customers. That takes more skill.
Yeah, the more jobs you do, the more chances are that one of them out of so many are going to, create a situation that you can only do so much for. You can redo the job, you can do what they tell you they want you to do, and they still won't be happy. Right. And so it's at those times that can be very, it's a lot of mental strength to persevere through that and maintain your composure with these other customers and your team when your emotions are getting hit, because you guys work so hard on these projects. It's very hard not to take it's not hard. It becomes hard to take a negative reaction personally.
Right.
It becomes hard on your emotions. It becomes hard on your mental endurance when you're working so 100% all week, and then the customer wants to point out something or make demands that aren't necessarily justified or warranted.
Right.
And it could be hard not to take that personally.
Yeah, or not or whatever crazy thing they have in their mind.
What's that?
Or try not to pay you, or whatever crazy thing they have in their mind.
Yeah, we've had at this point now, we've had pretty much everything happen that could happen. Even a fire.
Yeah,
you were a part of that.
That was.
By the way, I heard that story.
In the history books.
That was bananas.
Oh, that story was crazy, dude. Man, you guys want to hear it?
Give us the 30-second version for anybody that hasn't heard. Because when my jaw, I had to pick it up off the desk when Steven told me.
Man, so I'm in a house. I just finished priming the house, our kitchen. And as I'm leaving, I got the paint, the sprayer toad in my hand. And I go to hit the switch. So I hit it with my elbow. There's like two switches there. So I wasn't sure which one it was. So I just hit them both. And then I hear bang, boom. Like a electrical box just exploded. Boom. I look back, it's like a spark, and it lit the plastic on fire. And I'm like, crap. So I put the tote down. I try to go grab a rag. By the time I turn around, now the flame is like 3 feet wide, 3 feet high. So I'm like, crap. And then I try to rip the sink open, get some water. And I turn around again, and it's not like 6 cabinets just fully flamed. So I'm looking there, and I'm like, shoot, what do I do? So then it burns the plastic to the opening of the cabinet. So I grab a cup just straight through the flame. I grab it and run to the sink and fill it up with water, and I start throwing it and keep refilling and throwing powder in it. And then at this point, it gets really smoky. So my mask is sitting there. So I put my mask on, and then I get more water, keep throwing it until I get out of there, man. And it was out. I put it out.
Didn't you have to get the homeowners too?
Yeah, the homeowners too. So I got the lady. She's like, my husband's in there. He's getting, he was taking a shower. I'm like, well, he needs to get out because, we don't know if there's a fire behind the wall, So, and she's saying the bathroom is directly across that. So I'm like, we gotta go. So I go in there and, you know, he's actually naked. And we're like, we gotta go. So he just puts on his drawers and, you know, I'm just helping him, you know, they're elderly. So, you know, he's got a little limp and stuff. So we get out of there and then, you know, we all sit down in front of the garage. The fire trucks are there like in less than 5 minutes. And, you know, nobody gave me a thank you.
Yeah,
You know, I was telling the chief, like, yeah, I put it out, me. But, you know, I thought I was going to be on Channel 6 News.
Right.
I mean, it definitely is a heroic way to react and respond to that fire, because it would have been understandable for you to
Yeah, you know what it is?
not put your hand through the
Right.
flames.
I take things so seriously. Like, I knew it wasn't my fault, but I'm like, man, you know, I'm the one in the kitchen and stuff. So I just felt like I have to stop this, you know, before it gets worse.
Because we ended up, the fire marshal went over there, and then an electrician went over there and deemed there was a socket behind the refrigerator, and we have a liability waiver signed, and we now we're very sure not to move the refrigerators because of the water lines, and because we've dealt with floods before too.
Or scratched floors.
Yeah, so it's scratched floors and busted water lines that we want to avoid. And so we don't mess with those outlets or the appliances even. And apparently it was that outlet that had sparked when he flipped the switch, and it caught the plastic that we bubble up the kitchen. And so we cover up all the walls. And as it sparked, it ignited the plastic and expanded from there. But that's actually still not over. I actually just got a letter from their insurance company saying, basically preparing us for a lawsuit. So to be updated.
How dare you save this nice family? Well, you know,
Dude. I mean, her kids gave me hugs, like, thank you, you know, for saving our parents, you know, the house.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, the flames were getting ready to go through the ceiling.
Well, you know,
it was wild. So
they probably don't even know what happened. They're just like, oh yeah, somebody wants money, like, we're gonna fight it.
well, surprisingly, the after pictures, like, it's a pretty intense story, but the after pictures, it was literally pretty much the plastic that burned, and then the walls had smoke on them, and so there actually wasn't any burning fire damage to the walls or anything else. Apparently there may have been some heat damage to like some plastic in the cabinets,
right? Some plastic plates.
But like nothing actually caught on fire other than our prep material. And so the homeowner wanted us to come back and finish the job right after this incident. And so we had a form written up that basically acknowledged a few things and gave us some confidence to go back and finish it. And so we went back there and finished it, and everything came out great. The only thing you can see is some smoke that was on the wall, and I mean, literally could just be painted. So I'm not even sure what their claim is for as far as damage goes. But what happened was, as soon as the fire trucks were called, the restoration companies come flooding to their house. It's not like they called companies to submit a claim. It's the companies came to these elderly people and fed them the reasons why they needed to call the insurance company and all of that. So I'm not sure what they actually are fixing or fixed, other than maybe cleaning up the area.
That's all it was cleanup.
It's kind of how like personal injury lawyers are following ambulances around.
Yeah, I mean, there was 4 of them that came.
Okay, well that means they're clearly doing something right. So that means basically, Felix, you've experienced I don't know, we'll call that like a top 3 worst nightmare experience, because
gotta be.
I mean, other than like a robbery, whatever. I mean, I could think of some creative things, but you know, a fire is pretty intense.
Right. Yeah, and at least in a workspace. Yeah.
I mean, like outside of like, you know, terrorist bombing, but like stuff you'd normally
right.
on the scale of bad.
It could always get worse.
Like flooding the floor, right? I would consider that like maybe a number 1, maybe number 2. Fire may be worse than flooding is. So maybe fire is number 1. Like there's not much that's going to be worse.
Right.
So how do you feel about where you're going next from here? Having experienced the worst that it has to offer for you, where do you want to go from here? What's your next plan, man?
From here, man, my next plan is to build this up, you know, much more, maybe a 5-man team, you know, and put other people's in position to expand as well. and then, link up with Steven, make some power moves,
Yeah.
Build the portfolio up,
Maybe
Okay.
expand into cocoa,
Yeah, exactly. We want to expand to cocoa, different parts of Florida, maybe out of state too.
do some real estate stuff.
Right. Real estate, it's endless.
Yeah. Well, let us know
You
about
know?
cocoa. We're looking at cocoa right now. So
Wow.
no, all of our stops are going to keep going in Texas. We're hoping to have our next location in Texas in like 6 months.
Yeah.
Is the goal.
Cool.
Texas.
Yeah, Texas, great state for home services.
Yeah, my girlfriend's got a family in Ohio. I'm thinking about Ohio too. There's a lot of old homes
Okay.
there too.
Yep.
Yeah.
Where in Ohio?
Lorain, Ohio. It's like the outskirts of Cleveland.
Okay. Yeah, I'm sure.
You-
Do we
you're-
have a student in Cleveland? I don't think we do.
the thing is, man, after like number 30, I could only barely.
It's hard to remember.
After 50,
Yeah.
I'm like, I know we have at least 2 in Ohio, but where?
Yeah, Ohio's big now. Yeah.
Yeah, dude, Ohio's got big cities, Cincinnati, Columbus, and here's
Yeah.
we could have 30 just in Ohio. That's the wild thing about it. Like
Yeah,
We probably got 15 in Orlando.
yeah, at least.
at least, yeah.
Mhm.
Well, the weird thing about the trades, and me and Steve were kind of laughing about this yesterday. It's like, even with all of that going on, there is still a shortage of contractors, right?
Right.
You could probably have
Yeah.
another 4 or 5 just in Orlando, and it wouldn't be a big deal. There's so much
Right.
business out there.
I always think the same because, as I'm driving, I see, electric trucks. I probably see in a day 10 different companies, there's
Mhm.
all day long, all kinds of trades. There's so many,
Yeah.
Yeah,
there's tons of work out there.
Yeah, especially if you're willing to do it and train your own guys. It's like, man, the opportunity is almost endless.
Yeah.
So you guys want to open up some more shops and Felix kind of run them yourself?
What's that?
Or actually, I guess so is your plan to get some new shops started and then hire somebody and kind of bring them up through the same path that you went through?
Exactly. Yeah,
Nice.
definitely. We want to keep growing the tree, adding the branches on there.
Yeah.
Definitely. That's the goal. A few people, everybody who's ready for it.
yeah, because
Prove
not
themselves.
everybody. We have guys that work with us that don't want to run their own thing,
Right.
and that's okay too.
Right.
As long as they're willing to manage themselves and their individual project,
Yeah.
that can still be a win for us. But you always want to look for those that do want to be a leader, that do have ambitions to build a team and to take on more and more responsibility in exchange for the value that can bring them as well. But it takes bravery, it takes some courage and a lot of faith in themselves and the ability to overcome the challenges that are naturally going to come their way.
Yeah, because a lot of people think they want to do it, and they stop pretty soon, because
Yeah.
it sounds good and all. I've heard guys here that had the same opportunity as me saying things like, "Oh yeah, I'm gonna grow it up, big, $1 million," and they have no work ethic. They cut corners. I'm looking like,
Yeah.
good dream.
It's I saw a sign earlier today. It said, you can't have a filet mignon appetite with a hot dog work ethic.
There you go.
It's like, yeah, man.
Nice.
And a lot of people, I believe, that may have ambitions that don't necessarily align with who they're becoming. I think a problem is really in their awareness on who they are as a person in that moment, in the trajectory that they're putting themselves on. A lot of people will, by default, blame other people or circumstances for why they're at the phase in their life or why they're struggling with certain things, and not necessarily look into how they could be at fault or how they can contribute to a better future, and how that's going to require a lot of hard work and discipline and consistency. But by relying on themselves, it can actually give them more confidence. If relying on yourself doesn't give you more confidence, then you probably have some things to work on.
Yeah.
Because if you're relying on other people or other things outside of yourself to achieve the things that you want out of life, you're not setting yourself up for success.
That's really true. I think it's also tough. A lot of people haven't really thought through what comes with the success that they say they want. other than, the cars and the shiny stuff. I'd be like, I'm gonna make $1 million. I'm gonna have a car and I'm gonna have this and this. But what comes with earning $1 million is also all of the responsibilities and the late nights and the headaches and the challenges it takes to get to that point. And nobody ever wants to talk about that stuff.
Right.
Granted, those things can all be solved. Right.
Yeah, if anything, they should motivate you to solve the problem sooner. If you're having to deal with something within the business that you own or manage and you don't like dealing with it, well, then figure out how to get it done without you doing it.
Right.
Don't just neglect that area of the business and think the problem's going to go away, because it's only going to continue to grow. And especially if you're not addressing it or managing it well, it's just going to get worse for you.
Yeah, man. Yes, so much so. The thing that comes to mind when you say that is accounting for a lot of people, right? Like keeping up with your books, or managing the team and the hiring, because it can be really easy when those problems come up to want to ignore it. And the things that what's the phrase? What you resist persists. Like if you let the problem just sit there and fester, it's going to get so bad that when it finally blows, it's a nightmare.
Yeah, especially with taxes, because you can get hit with a very big surprise, and things come up. Like I actually just got one, and I've dealt with the same accountant for years, and something happened to where I got hit with another bill after I've paid all my stuff, and so I actually have to look into that or talk with the accountant and figure out what's going on. But you definitely are better off working with an accountant than not, because a lot of people that may be used to doing it on their own online or going in person to a tax preparer rather than an accountant might feel that that is sufficient when they're working with the business. Well, when you become a business, you have a lot more tools in your toolbox when it comes to taxes. And our government in our country is very favorable towards business owners. And so you have a lot of a new ability to where being a business owner can save you a lot of money on taxes, which simply means a lot more of your revenue or profit being put into your pocket rather than having to automatically spend 20-30% on taxes. You can reinvest that into the business.
Yeah, I mean, I think if your business is doing over 150,000 in revenue, odds are you can find an accountant that you can pay and they will save you more money than you paid them.
Yeah.
First time we
If
hired
you're a good accountant, they should always be saving you more than you're paying.
Yeah. But that's the fear. They're like, I'm going to pay this guy and it's not going to do anything for me. But I think the first time we hired a serious accountant, I paid somebody like $2,000 and he saved me like, I don't know, $4,000. And I was super excited. My current accountant, the first year, I think I paid him almost $5,000. It saved me almost $20,000 the first year. I was like,
they pay for themselves.
Dude, if I could do that in the stock market, come on.
Yeah, people neglect or they underrate how much value there is in saving money versus gaining more money. If you can cut your expenses by 20%, it could be seen as the same thing as gaining 20% in profit.
Yeah.
There's definitely benefit to mitigating your expenses, and that certainly applies to accounting 100%. Well, that's awesome. I mean, what do you think you're most excited for in the future? You've been in this new role now. You've been running your own team, your own business for, what has it been, a few months now?
5 months.
5 months already.
5 months.
So,
it's been great too.
What do you,
I've enjoyed the whole 5 months. It's been ups and downs, but more ups and downs than downs. And it wasn't really anything bad, just, working hard as usual, but the upspin's great, And what I'm most excited for is to, build this team up even more and kind of like play that all the way manager role, overlooking everything, because I'm still on the field, doing jobs as well. But that's what I'm most excited for, so I can get it there and then start to do other things, branch out on my own, in the business world.
Yeah, once you can start working on the business, your business will become better. And you'll just have that ability to start allocating your profits into different things,
right?
Into another location, or you just have more options,
right? Yeah. So that's the first stop. Get it up there, and then from there we'll go. Go shopping.
what would you say to somebody that like, so, somebody who's just thinking about getting in the trades, given your experience over the last 3 years, what advice would you give to them?
And I would say do it. Like the trade, learning a skill that would always keep you employed, and you don't have to go 4 years into a university or college and come out in tons of debt and like just forever security, basically, and the learning, it's very useful. I think that's the best way to go, honestly. The trades. There's so many too.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
Coming up, I did electrical helper and stuff like that. And I always liked it, I like to be hands-on and stuff. And it's just, interesting, it keeps you something new, you're learning. I think that's cool. It's not the same boring thing sitting in the office or, you're actually moving about. I think everybody would enjoy that. Like this with the cabinets, I've seen beautiful homes, met wonderful people, it's awesome. Every week, something different.
Yeah, which to me sounds way better than being stuck in a cubicle.
Man.
And you can often get paid more than what someone might be making in an office.
Right. And they have to start at the bottom, and work their way up to get more. This was it was really fast getting in this trade. And
yeah, I'd love to see the numbers on college these days, because I know lots of people that graduate at the same time as me that came out making like, I don't know, $40,000 a year, $45,000 a year. And I know for a fact that we have techs that can outperform that after they've completed a month of training.
Yeah. My first year passed that.
Yeah, exactly. It's like right out of the gates. It's like, well, did you spend $200,000 to get that?
No, Stephen paid me.
Yeah, that is a cool problem.
That's what I tell people, man.
He paid me to train me.
Exactly. You can get paid to learn a skill.
That's why when I saw it on the when I was looking for jobs, I was like, what? I'm like, and it was good pay for training. I'm like, this is a no-brainer.
Yeah. That's a no-brainer offers is something amazing. And it's not just in marketing, it's everything you do within your organization. One thing Stephen does a really good job of is he always is showing people what's possible and what exactly can look like. And it's clearly worked off well both for him and for you in this case.
Yeah. I mean, I always told him, I believe you.
Yeah. That's awesome, man.
Yeah. For real.
I think that's the best thing we could do as leaders is help people believe in what's possible, because a lot of their disbelief isn't necessarily their fault. It's assumptions that have been passed down to them from their family, from their environment, and they believe what's to be true based off of what's in front of them. And if you have someone that they don't know telling them this what sounds to be a crazy possibility, it takes time for them to understand that what they're being told is a reality. It is a possibility for them. And by them achieving their goals, it helps the leader of the team achieve his or her goals. By me elevating Felix or giving him the tools that he can elevate himself with, it helps me get to the next level as well. And I feel like that's the best way to build a business is everyone should be achieving their goals. There shouldn't be anyone that's being left behind. And if it is, then it should be a result of their own doing, not of what actual possibilities exist.
Yeah. Lack of effort, not lack of opportunity.
Right. Exactly.
Well, if we get the rest of the world to think that way, we're going to have a happy place.
Right. I wish.
Yeah. I mean, I think the best thing we could do is continue to share these sort of stories to show people how much they really do affect their own reality and how much control they actually have over their financial destiny. You don't have to go and try to find a great job to get to the next financial chapter. It might make sense for where you're trying to go, but it's not the answer for everyone. Getting paid to learn a skill in a high demand industry can be a way to get you where you're trying to go. And try not to let any social norms or opinions of others prevent you from reaching your goals. If it makes sense to you, then go after it and commit to it and double down on the evidence that starts to unveil itself.
Right.
And have faith that if you keep doing what you're doing, you're going to get to a better place in life. And as they prove that to themselves, they'll likely evolve into a leader, because I know as I started to improve my life through the business that I built, it's hard not to want to share the opportunity to people, because, you know, I don't think I'm unique in the fact that I like to not only help people, but I love when people take my advice and apply it.
Right.
Right.
And then they get the result. Like, that's so rewarding for me, because I feel like I'm making the world a little bit better, because now I've helped this person make their life better, and they're going to go pass those lessons on to the people around them.
Exactly.
And it creates this ecosystem of development, and it spreads like a virus. And to your point, if we can all start to do that over time, and we can ignore the haters, as they say,
Right.
you know, a lot of people will be in a better place.
Yeah. There's a lot of haters.
A lot of haters. But I mean, I think, Felix, your story sums it up. It's like within 4 years from not even having the skill to learning the full skill to now running a 7-figure operation. When you say it out loud, it's pretty stupid. And dude,
I think, it's just like keep your head down and just keep going through it. You know what I mean? And believe in, just have that faith, and know that and for me, it was kind of easy because I seen it like in Steven, his story and, coming up that way. And I'm like, it's a no-brainer again. Like, it's proof, so I know that I can go that same path. So I'm like, I'm going to stay here and work my ass off and get there too,
Yeah.
And, some people are like, oh, nah, man, that's not going to happen. Oh, come over here. Oh, we could do our own thing. I'm like, why would I go with you? This guy's already got a freaking 7-figure business going on.
Right.
Yeah. We had a good amount of people that spawned off of Elite Cabinet Coatings.
Oh, he got a lot of kids.
And tried to recruit Felix over to they either got fired or they were about to be.
Yeah.
And then they go and start their own thing and then try to get the guys to jump onto their boat.
Right.
I was kind of wondering earlier when you're like, there's at least 15 in Orlando. I was like, you mean that Stevens indirectly started or total?
About 10 of them.
Yeah.
At least. I said, man, you didn't get Father's Day cards?
If NFTs existed.
I got a funny story for that about that for you later, Steven, because I came across one of the competitors and I was like, how about that?
Yeah.
I think it's awesome. But the crazy thing is, even in spite of all that, it's still going, right? And you guys still doing really strong and still growing. So,
oh yeah.
I mean, Felix, this has hopefully been an inspiration for a lot of people. I know every time I get to see the store, I'm just like, God, that's awesome.
Yeah, man, it's amazing, man. And we'll be back here again maybe next year.
Oh, I don't think
we'll do an episode by the beach when we got the cocoa.
Right, exactly.
Heck yeah.
We're gonna keep going up, man.
So we'll do the episode, then we'll go surfing.
Yeah.
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 Well, sweet, man. I really appreciate you taking the time.
For sure.
I'm glad you got to share your story with other people. And
Me too.
as always, if you guys have any questions about anything, regardless of the trade that you're in, a lot of these systems will apply to your business, whether you install flooring, windows, crown molding. Every part of your business has a certain way of doing things, and there's tools that you can use. So we would love to share some of those insights. Feel free to shoot us over an email at support@cabinetstartup.com. We'd be happy to help you. And we'll be glad to talk to you guys again, same place, same time next week. Have a good one.